Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for joining me.
Hadley, so great, and so great to have you come here to the Department of Interior.
Walk us through the Energy Dominance Council. What does that mean?
President Trump understood unequivocally that energy is the key to the economy, and it's the key to national security. And it's actually also the key to peace in the world. The NEDC is a team of professionals, small team like a strike team, and our job is to help cut red tape. It's to help empower the American private industry, and it's to work on implementing President Trump's the myriad of his executive orders that span everything from traditional energy sources to nuclear energy to renewable sources like geothermal, but also critical minerals, because that's a key part of what we're doing in this country. That's a key part of national security, a key part of energy. So we have a broad portfolio across energy in general, and that team is driving forward to help unleash American energy to achieve the goals of prosperity and peace.
The president has been winning when it comes to these trade deals. And what's your role when you look at those pieces of paper and you say, okay, where can America win?
Well, President Trump pulls us in some of the early negotiations, say with the Japanese Prime Minister, with the senior Korean delegation just last week. When these folks are here in Washington, D.C., and we're talking about a trade deal, and President Trump wants a balance of trade between countries. What are the things that these countries need? People like our allies in the Pacific. I mean, Japan, 120 million people living in the space of North and South Dakota, two small states here, with zero oil and gas. Korea, 51 million people in a very small space, half the size of my home state, zero oil and gas. I mean, the natural thing, in addition to perhaps buying defense material from us. Energy is like at the top of the list. Agriculture is at the top of the list. But energy is something they need. And of course, part of the strategy of energy dominance under the Trump administration is sell energy to our friends and allies so they don't have to buy it from our adversaries. And you see this with the huge EU deal that was accomplished this last week, $250 billion of purchases a year for the next 3 years, really with the goal of support the EU have their goal of, hey, they're going to get off of Russian gas.
Almost immediately, the press was panning this and saying there's no way that the United States can meet that kind of demand. Plus the fact, how is the EU, each individual state, going to pay for it? How do you see this evolving?
Well, I think it's evolving in part because we're going to let the markets actually work. I mean, the trade deal provides a framework, but you're seeing it already. I mean, the deals that have been cut, again, with Japan, with Italy, we've got, German company. This gets people to the table in the private sector, and they know that America can be a reliable supplier of the energy sources they need across a broad range of things. I know that we're going to see exports expanding, and the U.S. can play a position to really help be one of the players to help, in this case, and particularly of Europe, getting off of Russian gas.
What's the first step in terms of getting this energy to Europe? Is it a permitting question?
Well, I think the first step is obviously increasing supply. And when you see this kind of demand signal coming from a trade deal, very encouraging for companies to say, we're going to continue and invest in the U.S., we're going to invest in Alaska, to continue working on taking the enormous resources that we have in the U.S. and make them available not only here, but also to our allies. But permitting is a key part of this. People say, our prices, where's the price mechanism here to help drive more production? But when we started back when President Trump was in office, he asked me and he said, what do you think happens if we cut red tape? I said, I think if we cut red tape, we can lower the break-even point in America by at least 10%. So take a $70 barrel of oil, and how much a company makes at that price. I think they can make the same amount of money at $63 a barrel on their bottom line if we can take away this unnecessary regulation.
So you're not concerned at all with America's ability to meet that energy demand in Europe?
Well, I think that American greatness has always been built on innovation. It's always been built on people actually driving and get stuff done. President Trump, one of the mandates he has, it's not just drill, baby, drill, but it's actually It's map, baby, map. Figure out where all of our resources are. Get back the U.S. Geologic Survey, which is part of Interior, to get back to our roots of actually identifying the tremendous resources we have. I mean, just recalculating and remapping what's in the Gulf of America, the number nearly doubled. I mean, the estimate is there's $28 trillion of oil and gas assets just in the Gulf of America. Coal, for example, with not even counting the critical minerals that are in that coal, that number got revised upward to $8 trillion. So we're talking about potentially, when we get done with that project, $100 trillion, $200 trillion of natural resources in this country, on our balance sheet that could be developed. So I think, again, the unleashing of capital, and with these trade deals, and with President Trump, the greatest economic developer, ever born. I mean, in terms of the amount of capital he's bringing back, foreign direct investment, and then the amount of U.S. capital that's going to get invested here instead of being pushed overseas because of the incentives for people to want to reshore manufacturing to our country. So the combination, I mean, the numbers came out today, 3% growth in the latest quarter. I've been super bullish on growth in this thing, but in our country, economic growth, GDP growth, because we're ushering in an era, lower taxes, substantially less regulation, and low cost, affordable, reliable energy. You put those three things together, and the economy is going to soar. And with that, we're going to see the investment that's going to help meet this global demand.
The worry, of course, is that a prolonged period of lower oil prices essentially means that they're not going to be putting investment into future oil production, and that we're going to see inevitably a price spike.
I think anybody that is concerned about demand does not understand the global demand for AI. AI today is going to be transformative of literally every industry, but it only works if we have enough electricity. And in the near term, in the short term, 2, 5, 10 years, a lot of that is going to come from again, sources like natural gas. So I'm very bullish. And then when we, of course, see what's going on, President Trump is basically, he's not happy with, he's publicly said, not happy with Russia right now. President Trump wants to end wars. He wants to stop killing. He doesn't want to continue them. He's a peacemaker and wants to do peace deals. But if countries like India, who've ramped up, become one of the biggest suppliers of Russian oil, President Trump saying, hey, we're going to increase your tariffs. That's an opportunity for...
But he didn't increase them as much as he had signaled that he would.
Yeah, well, he put them
Did he go soft on them?
I don't know that he went soft on them, but I think President Trump doesn't usually do that, but I think that what we're going to see is, again, these are the kinds of opportunities there's 1.9 million barrels of oil a day going to India from Russia. I would say if you're an American oil company, get after it.
Are we in danger of losing a major player, whether it be through President Trump putting pressure via tariffs, or the fact that the Russian economy is in deep trouble?
Russia did a great job. They're one of the countries that spends time on psyops, and if you're pumping into Europe for a decade the kinds of information that nuclear is bad and coal is bad and everything's bad, and you're like fomenting and helping drive in democracies, in Western Europe and some parts of the U.S., this idea that somehow the existential threat to the world was climate extremism. Germany ended up deciding to go down their own Green New Deal. They spent $500 billion trying to go towards intermittent sources of electricity. They ended up with 20% less electricity that cost 3 times as much. And then at the time of the Russian invasion, then the price goes to $100, and Russia, the ruble went up. The ruble went up. Their cash.
I was there.
Yeah. You
I was covering it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were interviewing. It's like it was a brilliant move of, how do we start a war and become more wealthy at the same time?
Where are we with developing America's energy resources on federal land?
The law says you're supposed to hold quarterly lease sales so the private sector can bid on developing resources on federal land. So part of the 180-degree turn for the interior under President Trump is follow the law. The law says we hold lease sales. We hold them offshore, we hold them onshore, we do it regularly, and then we do it in a way where we actually put up for lease the areas that are the most interesting to the oil and gas industry as opposed to the lease industry. And the same thing for mining, the same thing for timber, the same thing for ranching. I mean, we're in a spot right now. We want to bring the nuclear industry back. President Trump has signed incredible executive orders that are going to help unleash, and its capital is flowing once again from venture capital into exciting new advances in nuclear. And yet, if you want to buy fuel for an reactor today, one of the 90 or plus reactors operating in our country producing electricity, you're likely going to be buying that enriched uranium from Russia.
And I believe the only uranium enrichment facility in the United States isn't even American owned.
Well, we're trying to fix that.
What is the greatest challenge to getting that done?
The biggest challenge that we have right now is electricity. We do not have enough electricity to win the AI arms race. China is racing ahead on electricity production. But again, President Trump, we have a president that understands this, and we're going gangbusters to produce more electricity in this country.
Would you consider putting data centers or AI factories on federal land?
Absolutely.
Are there any places at this point that you're considering specifically?
Well, I think when you take a look at where we got stranded gas, there's just, I mean, one of the biggest underreported stories in all of the business sector is the sum of the 5 U.S. hyperscalers, the 5 big tech companies, the sum of their CapEx budgets, their capital expenditure budgets for this year has now just been revised to $364 billion. These are companies that didn't used to spend money on CapEx at all. I mean, they would hire software developers and salespeople, and they'd lease their office space. They had no CapEx budgets. They were big companies. Now they are the biggest CapEx spenders. They're bigger than autos. They're bigger than manufacturing. They're the biggest in the country, and they want to spend that money right now. And if they're going to go to where the stranded gas is, they're going to end up in the Marcellus, the Bakken, and the Permian. And that, you know, puts you in about 5 states, and they'll choose the states that have regulations that are going to allow them to build quickly.
Walk me through the synergies you see when it comes to AI, data centers, and of course the UAE, because it seems as if you are on the same page.
Well, absolutely. And the UAE, a country that's got a great alignment with the United States in terms of a set of values, in terms of our economic visions, in terms of the potential for partnership. And you mentioned earlier the tremendous amount of capital that's been announced and committed by UAE to invest through their various sovereign wealth funds into the U.S. That dollars are all welcome. I think one of the ideas that all countries are going to want to have is how do countries have a sovereign AI factory? How do you make sure that if you're producing intelligence, that intelligence supports the values that you're trying to drive as a country, as opposed to the bias that might be in someone else's algorithm or models? And there's a bit of an indication when we see that on social media. Social media, depending on the algorithm, can start, influencing public opinion. So it matters a lot on AI and the proprietary and sovereign nation. And I think there's going to be an opportunity in the same way we've built embassies abroad. That when you're on that piece of soil, you follow the rules of the home country. I think there's going to be an opportunity for people that have rich energy sources, stable governments, to be able to say, hey, alongside, build your embassy here, but also build an AI factory next to your embassy, and that's your data, that's your land, you're protecting it. So I think we're going to see new forms of collaboration evolve.
And UAE is one of those countries.
UAE absolutely would be one of those that I think people would say, hey, this would be a great place because you've got a trusted relationship. Mutual investment going on, mutual investment in protecting each other in terms of defense. In the case of UAE, a 1, 2, 3 agreement on nuclear. I mean, there's a number of things where you'd say, hey, there's great alignment to make this happen. And I think we'll see more of that springing up around the world as people learn to collaborate.
There's a lot of concern that this administration is going to put some shale producers out of business. How do you respond to that?
Well, I'm less concerned about that. We're helping them 2 ways. We're driving up global demand. We're driving up domestic demand because of all of the AI factories, because we're going to be producing more electricity, and we're lowering their break-even point by cutting the red tape. So again, I'm bullish on the future of the shale producers in this country because what they have, everybody wants. I tell the shale producers, if they're feeling down, go talk to a hyperscaler, because if you've got energy that can be produced into electricity, they want to buy it from you, and they're willing to pay more for that electricity than ever before.
But you're not concerned when we think about how much they're investing as oil companies in that future supply?
I mean, I would look at the macroeconomics of, a robust U.S. economy, a strategy around U.S. energy dominance of selling energy to our friends and allies. And I would look at AI demand. AI demand is going to do more for driving energy prices than anything. The tech guys walk in the room and this is tech guys. No, these are becoming the biggest customers in the world for energy, and it will only get bigger. The models that are coming, the new models that are being released right now, from the AI side, some of these are 10 times better than the ones they were before. Are they more efficient, less efficient? That isn't the question. If they're 10 times better, they might have 10 times the demand.
In your mind, how is that going to change, that demand, going to change the relationship between the United States and OPEC, or in this case, OPEC plus?
I think both win. I mean, I think we had two areas, OPEC plus, the Middle Eastern country, United States, are in a position to be the major suppliers of energy to the world, and take the 2 billion people that don't have enough energy, the 666 million people that don't even have electricity, take AI demand. And again, I'm very bullish on anybody that's in energy business is going to be a good business to be in for the decades to come.
It's so wonderful to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hadley, thank you. It's been great having a conversation with you. And thanks for coming to Interior.